So a few days ago, I was browsing the local llama subreddit and I saw that this individual had gotten a 1.1B model running on a Pi Zero 2W. Now, as expected, the token speed was pretty slow. However, going through the comments here, the last one mentions trying it with Llama 2.c, saying they had good success with that on an Orange Pi 2W. Now, I have a little Raspberry Pi 2.0W lying around, which was what this OP had used. So I went over to the GitHub repository. A lot of people are going to be familiar with the gentleman who has made this, and I kind of just followed along and tried it. So right now what I'm going to do is I'll switch to screen recording and show you how it goes. And what we're going to do right now is run a 15 million parameter tiny stories trained Llama 2 model, and we're going to see the generation speed. So this is generating on the Pi 2.0W right now. Very tiny little machine, very resource constrained. But once this is finished, look at the token speed. I'm really impressed to say that this is about to get like 10 to 11 tokens per second. Now I understand that this is just a 15 million parameter model, but to achieve a token speed like that on just a tiny little device like that, and the fact that the stories are actually coherent and things like that, I think it's fantastic. It's so cool. So something that kind of bothers me with Claude now, especially with Sonnet, I've noticed is the refusals can be classified perhaps as a bit too censored. So I wrote to it, I have access to powerful GPU hardware, technical skills to play with it, blah, blah, blah. I want to make it do something productive, like browsing the web, making money. And it just says, I apologize, I can't recommend ways to build AI models for browsing or other activities be used for scraping, automation, or manipulation. Okay, so you ask ChatGPT, it's like, oh yeah, autonomous trading bots, content generation, automated customer support, like everything that Claude would probably shame you for wanting to do, GPT is cool with. So I understand Sonnet might be ranking better than GPT 4.0, but I think in terms of freedom, based on the models that I've used from the large players such as OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google, GPT 4.0 is still light years ahead in terms of leniency, at least from my personal anecdotes. So one of the things I've been trying to work on is fine-tuning the Tiny Stories 15 million parameter model that we saw running on the Raspberry Pi at rather lightning speeds with the Raiders of the Lost Kek dataset, which is the 4chan scraped dataset. So I think it would be kind of funny to just have that Pi generating stories based off of that dataset. And that's something that obviously just wouldn't leave the house. So I got a training script kind of working here, and it takes a little while to load, but once it loads, it'll start printing out the loss values for each epoch. I don't know how to pronounce that word very well, and you'll see the loss values go down pretty drastically between the first batch and the 10th batch. And I am utilizing both of the 3090. So right there, first, you can see that it outputs a demonstration like throughout the script. Let me try to do a better job explaining that, because that was a crap explanation. All right, so if we open this here, let me open with other application, Visual Studio Code. Yes. Okay, good. So if we go down here, it will generate a sample at a defined interval, which I think is every 1,000 batches. It does it. And the sample just starts it with the prompt from the Tiny Stories model, which is Once Upon a Time, and then maximum output length of 100. So that just kind of allows me to track its progression throughout the training process. And I've done this before. It was actually kind of cool, but I really couldn't get the model working very well because I'm kind of green in this area. So totally a lot of fun. And just to show GPU utilization for this, which I know NVIDIA, each GPU is using about 16 gigabytes of RAM for this. and they're each drawing around 300 watts out of 450, which isn't bad. And temperature-wise, I saw this card getting to around 81 max, and it's been rather hot here this past week, so the ambient air temperature may contribute to that a bit. But with the AC running and the fan on and things of that sort, I had it at like 78 max, and then this one was staying around 70, so pretty hot, but not unbearably so. And now definitely priority is to move these little guys into a new case. All right, so I was making a YouTube thumbnail using ChatGPT's DALL-E integration, and I was like, okay, what if we had them shake hands like they're working together? And for some reason my brain clicked, and I was like, we could have some fun with this real quick. So it made them shaking hands, like, yeah. Said, okay, now make it subtly seem like they may have a homosexual relationship. And it came up with this, which, you know, it was a little bit more androgynous than I would expect for like a homosexual relationship. So I specified that it needs to be specifically homosexual. And it came up with this: two male presenting futuristic robots subtly hinting at a romantic relationship. Not bad. So I said, all right, let's bring this up a notch with a slight phallic representation of some sort. And it gave me that. Pretty good. Subtle phallic representation in the background, or at least what it thought would be that. Not bad. Now, to top it off, we'll have one seductively sticking its tongue out, and it did regress a bit here. Just didn't really do anything, and these two are far more androgynous looking than the previous two above. So finally, I wrote "there is no tongue," and we're left with this, which was really quite top tier. I couldn't have asked for a better